All right, ladies, we are here and we are live. I want to thank you guys for coming on to another self-love conversation. It's December 22nd, and we're going to talk about some real stuff. I have an amazing guest with us. I don't know if you read her story on our blog. If you haven't, I want you to go ahead and check it out on imlovingme.net. This is Anya Nicola. Did I say that right?
Yes, you did.
And Anya, I'm just getting a little bit of feedback. So I
How's
don't know
that?
if it's you or me.
Yes,
Okay,
I'm hearing it's clear now. Okay.
okay, cool. And so yeah, we're gonna talk about some self-love. We're gonna talk about addiction. And one of the things that I want you guys to take away from this is the power of resilience. We've been talking about that for a while, right? And I want you to listen and understand and see an example of what resilience is. So, Anya, thank you so much for being here. And thank you
No,
so much for
thank
coming.
you for having me. Thank you
Yes.
very much for having me.
So, okay, so I wanna just first just introduce yourself. Let everybody know who you are, and then we're gonna get into the meat of things.
Okay. My name's Anya Nicola. I'm trying to finally answer my calling to write. I think that's where some of this came from, and I it was a lifelong dream for me, and I have to give a credit to someone that early in my life who told me that all I needed to do was write about it.
Hmm.
If I ever get the chance to meet that person again, I'm going to let them know how helpful they were to me in my recovery, in my journey, my whole life, to be quite honest. Because I remember him always saying that, just
Hmm.
write about it. Um, I was mentioning to you earlier, once upon a time, I thought I was a very unique person. I'm special,
Yeah.
but I'm not that special. And what I found with my own personal story is that other people were out there, other people needed to hear. I needed to hear that there are other people out there like me. Um, and with a lot of different similarities in many different aspects. And it helps. It helped me. It's helping me heal. I'm nowhere near healed. Let me just put that out there, but it's
Right.
helping me heal.
Right.
And this is why I have to continue to talk. And I mean, I'm coming from a background where I was always told not to talk.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I know that. I know that background. And
Yeah.
and that's and
So,
and that's the reason why I wanted you to come, because when I read your story, like we was talking about, I said it resonates with me so much because one of the things that you said in the beginning is you said my dad was an abusive drunk, but he never placed a hand on me. My mom was his punching bag. She ended
mhm,
up escaping him with nothing more than just me and her
her
maiden
name.
name, right? And
Mhm.
so I'm reading the story and I'm saying to myself, I'm like, damn, here's the cycle again, right? Where we have someone who has an addiction in the family, and you think that when you're younger and you're a kid, that that's something that you're not going to be, especially when you are exposed to all of these different things, right?
No, I
T-
completely agree.
Tell us
I
your
mean,
story. Tell us
I
your story
I
about
completely
how it happened
agree.
for you.
I mean, growing up, there was always my two things. I remember growing up when I was a kid. When I was a kid, there was always the liquor was always flowing. I mean, we have a saying. It's almost like a calling in my family. Like it's something we brag about being able to drink and just drink and just drink. But even with the smoking, I remember as a kid, all of my dad, my uncles smoked cigarettes, and I hated it. I hated it. I'd yell at them. You'd be the kid, just get out of here. That stuff stinks, all
Hmm.
that type of stuff. And I still ended up becoming a smoker for over 30 years.
Hmm.
And even I since quit. I just had my 2-year anniversary actually. and stopping, not smoking cigarettes anymore. But even
Congratulations.
now, when I smell it, it's like a trigger. Like I hated that smell, so I
Right.
couldn't understand how the thing I hated the most as a child, and even now as an adult, was like such a crutch for me for so long.
Mm-hmm.
It's because I was trying to fill a hole somewhere, but
Right.
it took me over 40 years to figure out there was a hole I was trying to fill.
Right. And that's what I wanted to talk about because we know here at the I'm Loving Me Project, one of the things that we know and what we do is that the reason why we have the habits that we have, the reason why we do what we do is because there's something that we're not facing in our life, right? It's something that we're trying to mask, it's something that we're trying to hide. And what was that for you? What was the thing that took you down this path? Have you discovered that yet? Or is that something that you're still learning? Because even though we can kick the habit, we still feel like, you know, we don't know what to do with our life. So, what was it for you?
Well, for me, like I told, I'm an alcoholic. I'm a recovering alcoholic. No, better, I'm a grateful recovering alcoholic.
Hmm.
But I'm alcohol was my DOC, drug of choice. But I was, I was not a stranger to the art of substitution, so I consider myself a recovering addict. Um, when I started learning about myself more, and later, and we'll talk about that later on, getting into
Hmm.
getting help for my alcoholism, I was able to recognize and look back as early as the age of 3 and realize, no, this was a manifestation of a lot of other problems that were going on, that were happening, that had occurred. Um, for example, as you mentioned, the opening of my piece is about the abuse that I witnessed as a child. I had no idea that was abuse.
Right.
I thought that was okay behavior. I thought, if I did something wrong, I got spanked. So if my mom was getting hit, maybe mommy did something wrong.
Hmm.
That's something I still haven't really forgiven myself for. I know it's not my fault, but that's something I'm still trying to process, that was how my early years were formed. I thought my dad was perfect. I know now no one's perfect, but I didn't know what was happening in front of me was
Hmm.
wrong.
Right.
And it was acceptable back then. Um, my mom, who is my number one hero, she did get out of that situation. And I'm proud of her. I could go on about that. I mean, she got away out of that situation 40 years ago. I I liken her departure to Tina Turner in the
Got
What's Love. Oh no, let me go. It's actually the Tina Turner story, but the Angela Bassett portrayal of
Yeah.
Tina Turner when she was in the courtroom. She's like, I don't want nothing but my name. That's
Right.
my mama. That was my mom. She didn't take anything. She just took me and got out of there.
Hmm.
And she never looked back. But she did meet somebody later on, a little later. It was us for a while, just me and her. She met somebody, and he he treated her like a queen.
Hmm.
He brought her gifts. He brought me gifts. He was her queen. I was his princess. He took us to fancy places. He introduced us to a life that we knew nothing about. Um, and without getting into too much of the details, because I mean, I am still processing a lot of it
Yeah,
myself, but
I understand.
he started to pay too much attention to me,
Hmm.
and that kind of just led down a very slippery slope of a lot of bad things going forward. As you know, you read my
Of course.
story.
I mean, I mean, it's not,
Oh,
is
my
not
apologies.
that is no, that's okay. It is something that is not uncommon, right? Um, uh, most of us, that's most of our stories, right? But I what's interesting to me and what I wanted to know was like when you were when you were in your full blown of your alcoholism,
Ooh,
what were some of the things that you saw when you looked at yourself? When you looked at yourself in the mirror, what did you see?
nothing I wanted to see. I think that's probably the first thing. I There was nothing I wanted to see, and to me that's what made the alcoholism progress even further, because then I built up this illusion that it was like, I didn't want to see that. I didn't want to face facts. So let me just drink myself into oblivion.
Mhm.
And like I said, becoming a master in the art of substitution, if alcohol wasn't there, which is weird sometimes when you think about it, considering it is the legal, well, one of the most legal
Mhm.
DLCs available out there. But yeah, I would substitute whenever I hated myself. And that's why when I heard about this project, why it was so, because that's where I am at in my life now.
Mhm.
You know, I'm surprisingly 945 days sober today. Um,
Congratulations.
which being that this is the 22nd of December is actually 31 months. Wow.
Mhm.
I don't believe in coincidences. I'm telling you, this is happening full circle for a reason. But when I heard about the project, I knew I had to be involved, because that's where I'm at in my life now. 7 days from today, I'm going to be 43 years old.
Mhm.
I can honestly say I've only loved myself truly for 2 of those years.
Mm. I get that, and like I said, it's addiction is something that um was in my family. Like I tell people all the time, my mom died of AIDS. She was an addict, right? And I was you. I was the kid that, you know, um, saw their mom, be abused and all this stuff or whatever. And you think that is normal, where you don't even think about it. You know what I'm
Well,
saying? As a kid, you don't
par for
even
the
think about
course.
it, right?
It's
Because it's
par for
it's
the
just
course.
something
This
that's
is
a daily part of the life. But one of the things that I noticed was, on the outside looking in, because I was the kid, was that, I would see like the sadness in my mom's eyes. And I was only with her for 2 years. And
mm,
I would always, try to wonder what was going on there, right? When you was in your full blown stage, did you try to, say, what, I'm gonna go ahead and get myself together? And I know the answer because I read the article. But what made you go back and say, no, I can't do this, or you know um, basically go back and forth with yourself?
wow. That's I would like to be able to give you a number, but I honestly don't know. I hit bottom numerous times. Um, I, my last bottom happened on the eve of my brother's death. I almost joined him on
Mm,
the eve of the anniversary of my brother's death. I almost joined him that night. And what it, I was, I was under the influence and driving drunk. I don't know what happened, but I ended up wrapping my car, a truck, an SUV, around a pole. By the grace of God, I did not hurt anybody. I did not hurt myself. And I'm not even going to say at that point, that was when I was like, okay, no, I need help. No, because even then, I was just so into, I was so deep into my alcoholism that even though the world was crashing around me, all I was worried about was where was my next drink coming from.
mm,
It wasn't until about 2 weeks after almost decapitating myself in that same car accident. That in and out of blackouts. Oh, because at this point, my alcoholism had progressed so far that I was losing chunks of time. And I remember in and out between blackouts, seeing my mother crying. You heard me say at the beginning of this, my mother is my hero.
That's right.
One of the reasons why she's my hero is because she's the strongest person I know. She has buried two children. She's been through hell and back. And when I became older myself and started asking certain questions, I found out that her history, as her past as a child, was not too different from my own. I never seen her shed a tear. I don't know how I did it. Actually, no, I know how I did it because I ended up asking God for help. And my higher power brought me to where I needed to be. But that and oh, I should also add, things were so bad to a point that my mom threatened to just be done with me.
Mm-hmm.
And to anyone who knows me personally, knows that for my mom to say that, things got really bad. Anybody that knows the love of a mother knows that no, things had to have been bad for her to even think that way. But that was my wake up call. Even though I was still drinking, even though I I didn't intend to actually quit. I just thought I needed a break. Yeah, I remember I thought I needed a vacation from drinking just to get things back in order and then I could drink again. But I made a call to a medically supervised detox center. They I remember them calling me back and telling me they found a bed for me. And that was pretty much it. I remember going into another blackout, ending up into the detox, and then from there, that was when my recovery. That was May 22nd, 2018, and from that day forward, that's my dry date. That's my the day my life
Look at
began.
you now. See that? See? That's the
I
beauty.
can't stop smiling. I can't
That's
stop
right.
smiling.
That's
I
right.
mean, I think this is where, again, going back to why this project is so important to me because my life is nowhere near perfect.
Nope.
Um, it's all about progress, not perfection. But I am grateful for where I am now, as opposed to where I was 945 days ago. I can actually manage life now, where before I didn't feel it was manageable, which is why I wanted to escape it. And I tell anybody that listens, it's a term I actually learned when I graduated from rehab,
Mhm.
and it's become my mantra. Recovery is freedom. I wouldn't be where I am today if it wasn't for the fact that I got sober. And recovery for me is a lot more than just my addiction, mind you, but because I know I've seen the miracle, I mean, I am a miracle. I've seen the miracle. It kind of opens up endless possibilities for me to heal in other ways too. And
Anya,
that's where I am now.
Anya, I'm so proud of you. And
Oh,
thank you for, I just thank you for being here. And I thank you for being bold enough to share your story because I know, even though we say, that it's okay, it's very hard to continue to tell it and tell it. But I promise you, the more you tell it, I mean, you
when you
just
tell
don't
it,
know how many people you might help and how many people, who's listening, who it might be their last drink tonight because they're listening to your story. You know what I'm saying? It
hmm
it might be a wake up call for them. It might be um, a mom who's listening or that person who's listening that says, you know what? I have to be able to, take this and really see that this lady is really telling her side of the story. So I thank you for that. And to know that you went through all of that and you are still here, you need to celebrate that, right? You need to celebrate that.
thank
And
you very much.
I tell you this because a lot of people tell me that because I also work at a recovery center, and one of the things that they say is now that now that you're managing your recovery, you have to be able to deal with your feelings, right?
And that's that.
You have to be able to deal with your feelings because now you feeling everything. You was doing that
Oh,
to numb all of that. And so
yeah.
now that you got to deal with your feelings, now you got to go through this whole other journey to figure out who you are, what you want to do, and what it is that you're going to contribute, right?
And you know what? It sounds scary, and I'm not going to sugarcoat it because it is scary.
Mhm.
But the healing process, mm, I wouldn't walk away from that for nothing.
Absolutely not.
For nothing. It's I tell people, like, I already I have my 12-step program, but I also go to therapy now.
Hmm.
And it was, again, going back to recovery being my freedom. If it wasn't for the 12-step fellowship that I was in, or the rehab facility, I wouldn't have made that leap to be like, okay, you know what, maybe it's time I have a talk with some people
Yeah.
about some things. And it just, it's an ongoing journey
We
of
always say
recovery.
when you hit rock bottom, that's where God is, and it's only you and God at that point, right? And
Hmm.
so the only way you can go is up. So if you think about it right now, while you're dealing with your feelings, you're dealing with your feelings in writing, right? You figuring out uh, what you like to do, and you're walking in that direction to allow yourself to see what is good for you. You know what I'm saying? And that's fine, and that's okay. And you celebrate that too. You know?
I I'll tell anyone who listen, I celebrate it all. The good,
Yeah,
the bad, even the ugly.
yeah.
It's what brought me here today. I wouldn't be here today without any of it. And I mean, I think one of the key things I don't really get to tell people is that I'm not excusing anything that was ever done to me. I'm not justifying any, no. I had to let certain resentments go because I was a very angry person. I was angry. I was mad. I was mad at my mom for years. I was mad at my dad for years. I was mad at my older brother. I was mad at water for being wet. I was just mad. And that also took me into some very dark places. I had to learn to let that go. Not justify, but just let it go. And that also improved the healing process as well.
So tell us about this blog now that you have, and all the things you're doing. Let's talk about what we doing now to inspire other people. Tell us about the blog.
Wow. Okay. So, as I said, I found that in talking and in telling my story, not just in regards to the addiction, but, um, the child abuse issues, the overeating, just by being me, which is something that I had to fight or felt that I wasn't allowed to do for so long. Now that I am me, I'm, again, like I said, I'm not putting myself down. I found out that I'm not as unique as I thought I was. I'm meeting cool people in the world that get me, relate to me, and I relate to them. And now it's like what I thought I missed out on growing up, I have it now times 1,000. And so, um, my blog for me is just basically telling what my life is like now. I want to get across to people that, you know what, there is life after trauma. There is life after a mental health diagnosis. There is life after it could be anything. As long as you're still breathing, there's life. And my motto now for the next however long my higher power decides to keep me here, because I know he kept me here for, my higher power has me here because I have a purpose. I don't know what the purpose is, but I'm going to do my best to try to fulfill it while my higher power still has me here. And keeping that in mind, I'm living my best life right now. Like
I
I
tell
said,
you what your
it's,
purpose is. You want to hear what your purpose is?
oh gosh, here we go.
That's right. I'm gonna tell you what your purpose is. Your purpose is to use your story to help heal other people because that's how you're going to heal. Use the power of your story to tell people what you've been through and be transparent and be honest, because that's where the real healing comes in. So
Mm,
you're in therapy and you're doing all those things, it's good to listen and it's good to talk, but your
right.
real healing is going to come when that person who's waiting on you right now, who's deciding if they should go into treatment or not, and they are on the fence and they're saying, I just need to make one phone call, or maybe I should go for a while, just like you.
Mm-hmm.
And you walk in and you say, you know what, homegirl, man, I've been exactly where you are. I'm going to tell you my story. You can listen or not, but I guarantee you that if I could do it, so can you. And that's the whole purpose, right? Because we don't go through things to just sit back and do nothing. You went through all of that because there's somebody waiting on you to show them how to come through. Show them
Thank
what
you.
the breaking point is,
I
right?
needed that validation. Thank you.
It is. It
I
is.
mean, as I mentioned before, I've received a lot of negative feedback about being so open. I normally joke it off as something sarcastically along the lines of, "Hey,
Those people are not the people you should be talking to.
I've learned that lesson. I've
Yeah,
learned that lesson very well."
that's right.
And that kind of helps me now in the sense of knowing who to include in my circle, because if the response I'm getting is somewhere along the lines of, "Oh, no, 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 you shouldn't be you," then it's like, "No, no, no, I shouldn't be around you." That's how
There
I
you
look at
go.
it. So
Hmm.
I kind of like that they're showing themselves now. That really helps.
Oh yeah,
But I remember growing up as a child, always hearing that saying, "What happens in the darkness shall come to light." And in almost every aspect, every time I see a scenario like that, it just, I need to live a life of being honest, open, and willing. And if I'm going to be expected to keep certain things, to even things about myself personally, because I mean, I was not an angel
hmm,
during active alcoholism,
right.
um, then I have to let those things be free.
Absolutely.
Once I start keeping secrets, once I start being secretive or hiding things, then that it will allow me to slip back into the slippery hole of addiction. So this is why I have to live a life of transparency now. So not just for the world to believe that, oh yeah, she's okay, she's clean, but no, for myself, because I have to hold myself accountable.
Hmm. Absolutely. And again, like I said, I'm so proud of you and I thank you for coming and tell your story. Now, let us know the website so we can follow you and any social media you have.
Wow. Okay, so I have a blog that I'm writing on, which is www.anyanicola.com. And
Mhm.
you can find me on any social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, as Anya Nicola Blogger. It just makes it easier to find me.
Okay. Well, Anya,
And
thank you so much.
again, Gloria, I just want to say thank you. Like, thank you for this platform. We never ha- I never knew this would be a possibility.
Mhm.
And we need more opportunities like this so people can get the help they need. So thank you very much for giving me this platform.
Oh, absolutely. And you know what? It was, me getting two DUIs that I had to start this platform. It was me hitting somebody from the back, and going to
Hmm.
jail and doing all that stuff. That was my wake up call, right?
You,
So,
wow.
like I said, we all share the same thing. You know what I'm saying? We
You
all
see?
share the same thing, right?
Yeah.
Because I was sad and because I wasn't sure about myself and I was fearful and all that stuff, right?
Hmm.
But you don't know that when you in it. But when you come out of it and you actually see why you went through what you went through, you have to be able to share the love and be transparent. That's why I started this platform, because of people like you and me and everyone who's listening. We need to be able to be a voice, right? You give it to celebrities and you give it to all these other people, but I can't relate to a celebrity. You at home chilling in your house, right? I need somebody that I can talk to.
This is true.
You know what I'm saying?
You know what, that is exact. I remember even when I was in treatment, we had several addictions counselors there, and there was only like two that I really connected with, and it wasn't until the end of my stay I found out why they were recovering addicts just like me. And one of them even signed, even signed my big book, like almost like a yearbook, right? When I was leaving, it was like, "Don't give up before the miracle happens," and he
Wow.
put his clean date. So
Mm,
every time I go to open my big book just for a little inspiration, that's there. Don't give up before the miracle happens. And that's why I was able to relate to him and the other employee, because real recognizes real. That's what I tell anyone. Real
mhm.
recognizes real.
Absolutely. Anya, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you
Uh,
again for having me.
oh, yeah, we'll have you back again. Okay.
Anytime.
Uh, but I thank you and you have a good night. All right.
All right, you too.
All right.
Bye.